welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News Report. Black Minds News is to report, articulate, transmit, communicate, insinuate, develop, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether by news, video, website, or quotes from publications. As I articulate this information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, we, the BADOS, Black American descendant of slaves, we, today's children, offspring, present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the title of my show is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Well, look at them tell you some of the things I'm going to show for on the show today. Did you hear? Did you hear about that? Mandatory vasectomies that's going to be going down there up in Alabama, right? It's a little crazy, right? They're going to talk about some mandatory vasectomies. So we're going to talk about that story. I've got another story for you here that we're going to talk about when we get to it. We're going to talk about this one here. Did you hear about this when a black model refuses to wear racist monkey ears and lips at a fashion show? We didn't hear nothing about it. We're going to address it here today on Black Minds News. What else I got in the bag for you? A couple other things I got for you. So again, we're just going to do it like this. Just give you a little peek of some of the stuff we're going to get into today. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody for clicking on. And we're going to get into all this as we get into these reports. Stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing? Again, this is your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to Black Minds News Report. First and foremost, what's good to my fam? Subscribers, new and old. What's good, family? A couple of y'all sent some messages. I appreciate that. I will try to start responding to those messages that you do send that are kind of directed to me. We address it on the next topic, so that makes sure that you get to hear me direct instead of me just putting some stuff out there, right? So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for those who are appreciative and saying, hey, what's good, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Glad to see you back. I'm glad to see you still with us and appreciate you. Passerbys, if you happen to come by, seen the thumbnail and decided to click or the title, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube, which we call the corner that the builders reject. Go down the aisle, see some things that you might see or like. If you happen to see something to make you feel some kind of way, remember the motto of the show is the truth don't need no partner. You know what I'm saying? Truth don't need no partner, but this how it goes, right? So, this particular story here I'm going to start off with. We got to put it like this, right? We're in 2020. A lot of people just assume when you say 20 and 20 that that number seems significant in time and that we should have progressed beyond those who are brand new and looking back in the past and think we have progressed so much. But you kind of find out that some things are always the same and they just don't change. And so it is black media who have to sometimes keep you kind of informed remind you that, some things ain't as far away as you might think. And so what we do over here at Black Minds News, we just report what is already out there, but we giving it from a black commentary's perspective. So let me go ahead and crank this one up for you. So check this out. I'm going to play this for you. And we'll be right back. Check this out, y'all. Black model refuses to wear racist monkey ears and lips at fashion show. You know I'm going to say that again. Black model refuses to wear racist monkey ears and lips at fashion show. This story is coming on the New York Post, February the 15th, 2020, under the caption of the picture that you see on your screen. Amy LaFair refuses to wear the costume during the show, though a styling shot created a few days before, which is to the right, provides a map of what she would have looked like. An African-American model at a Fashion Institute of Technology runway show says she was pressured to wear bizarre, racist accessories like monkey ears and oversized lips. I stood there almost ready to break down, telling the staff that I felt incredibly uncomfortable with having to wear these pieces and that they were clearly racist, Amy LaFair, 25, told the host. I was told that it was fine to feel uncomfortable for only 45 seconds. LaFair, who has been modeling for 4 years and appeared on more than 24 catwalks, says she is no stranger to industry bigotry, but had never experienced anything as bad as the Fit Fashion event on February the 7th. I was literally shaking, told I could not control my emotions. My whole body was shaking. I've never felt like that in my life. She said people of color are struggling too much in 2020 for the promoters not to have vetted and cleared accessories for the show. LaFair ultimately walked the runway, but without wearing the ears or the bright red synthetic lips, which came from a sex toy. She stormed out of the event immediately afterwards. The show during the New York Fashion Week was staged at Manhattan PA's 59 Studios and was designed to showcase the work of the 10 alumni from Fit's inaugural Masters of Fine Arts class in fashion designs, according to a press release. The production was part of a series of celebrations to mark the 75th anniversary of Fit. Founded in 1944, the 7,406 student Chelsea School is part of a taxpayer-funded State University of New York system. The show was directed by Jonathan Kyle Farmer, a Fit professor and chair of the new MFA Fashion Design, and produced by Richard Thorne, creative director of British fashion production company Names LDN. The designs were created by recent Fit grad Jun K. Hung. Observers said Hung, who is from China, did not appear to understand the racial overtones of his work. The original concept called for highlighting ugly features of the body, according to a witness. Hung, Farmer, and Thorne did not respond to requests for comment. LaFair said her agency, Q Model Management, was furious when she told them what happened, though a rep from the company told the Post they had received conflicting reports about the show and suggested LaFair's account was unreliable. They just don't want their names to be anywhere near this, LaFair said, explaining the agency's response. She said Thorne repeatedly tried to strong-arm her, a student who said she was backstage at the show and who spoke on the conditions of anonymity backed up LaFair's version of the event. We brought it up to Thorne multiple times, the witness said. We said, she cannot wear this. This is wrong. He screamed in my face, you need to back down and get away. It was such a grave lack of judgment. The student claims several classmates made their objections known to Farmer the day before the show. Other models in the show who were not African Americans wore the pieces down the runway. This program protects a student's freedom to craft their own personal and unique artistic perspectives as designers, to be even what some would consider to be provocative, so that they find that voice fit, President Dr. Joyce F. Brown told the Post. However provocative designs and fashions might be, though, my commitment to ensure that people are not made to feel uncomfortable, offended, or intimidated is also of the utmost importance, not only to me personally, but to the college community as well. We take this obligation very, very seriously and will investigate and take appropriate actions regarding any complaint or concern that is made in this situation. The meltdown comes at a sensitive time as the fashion industry grapples with the desire to push the envelope with edgy new designs and the landmines of race. Last February, Gucci took heat for a blackface sweater, leading to calls from celebs like 50 Cent and Spike Lee to boycott the brand. Italy clothier Dolce & Gabbana was also bruised in 2018 over an ad that apparently mocked a Chinese woman for eating oversized Italian food with chopsticks. You want to push people's boundaries of what people think is beautiful or cool, but you don't just want to be trying to get a fashion reaction. Sam Reese, a New York-based fashion photographer, told the Post, "You don't push the envelope by baiting race issues. That's not being edgy." Alright, so we are back. So we see that there was a black woman, or woman of color, named Amy Lefebvre. She's 25 years old, considered herself a black model, and was at an event that seems that, according to the words of this article, says that she was pressured to wear the monkey ears and lips, right? They were going to have the young woman here. Let me go ahead and show the phrase. Let's show that again. Go ahead and put that up there for me, sir. There you go. So, yeah, as you see there on your screen there, right? You see that you see a woman of color in your face there, and to the right of there must be somebody else, because accordingly she didn't wear it, right? And so according that they were pressuring her based on the simple fact that, I guess, when you are employed by people and you sign on the dotted line, then everything that you sign on the dotted line is within the realms of you being employed, until you run across an issue that you must draw sand in the line, right? But we see that based on this situation, that Miss Lefebvre said that she was breaking down and felt uncomfortable, because she said basically what you see there is considered racist. Is it not? Is it or is it not, right? Do you believe that what you see to the right of her would be considered mocking people of color, black people, black Americans, those of all under the umbrella? Would that be considered racist? So we see that Miss LaFair, again, 25, still kind of new. You're learning the game. Don't know all the ins and outs, but she knew clearly that this did not represent what she wanted to. But, you know, her had been a model, according to the article, for 4 years. She did about 12 catwalks. And according, she said, now this here makes this suspect is because she said that she was no stranger to the industry bigotry. I'm going to say that again. According to the article, what you heard me read to you, said she was no stranger to the industry's bigotry. So that means they done had you once before in a compromising situation. Maybe you didn't think it as making you feel like you were going to break down and feel uncontrollable, but it was kind of, you know, edgy. It was right there. And you convince yourself that, okay, so guess what happened, Miss LaFair? Because you bit the apple the first time, or the third time, or the fifth time, well, how you felt uncomfortable about the situation, somebody said they're comfortable by having you do this, right? And so what's going to back up on what I said, right? And according, she said, but never as bad as this fashion event. Now, again, right there, those words she says, but never as bad. Again, as I just said, she's been there before with them, right? You know how they say, take an inch, take 6, get 6, they take a foot, take a yard, right? So that means they're going to take, you give a person a little bit of leeway, they're going to take more, right? So accordingly, the article goes on and says she became totally shaken. She couldn't control her emotions. Her whole body was shaking, right? So this rattled her, right? Think about it. She got rattled by the situation. Now, again, the reason why I made the distinction right up from the front by saying person of color, people of color, not BADOS, because LaFair doesn't seem to be a BADOS. And again, it's not the distinction. Again, black is black. I get that. African, I get all that. But I'm just saying, like, those who might have just seen the video that I had just put out about the immigrants and black and so forth, when you've been 400, 500 years and it's in your DNA, I think we act a little bit different. Do anybody disagree with me? Do you disagree with me or do you agree with me? I think we act a little bit different, and I think those who are pulling this off kind of know who they pulling it off with. Should I say that again? Do I not believe that people will try to, again, see how far they can push with you? And if they kind of hide you from the simple fact that they thought you was a safe token, then they believe the word that they use in this article is called provocative. Provocative seems to be a way to hide behind the curtain when they want to do some things that they say, well, being artistic can be pushing the envelope and the edge of right would be licking what you would call racism. But we don't quite cross it, but we go right there, right? So if you understand that and understand that the people who you work in the industry you said is already bigotry, then I guess you know if your career want to be long in there, you're going to have to compromise your position. You're not going to be able to steadfast and sit there and think that everything is going to be good. So here was they put you in they really pushed the envelope. They said, I want you to go out there. Matter of fact, remember the 5 heartbeats? Remember when they got pulled over by the police and they was all out there? And he said, hey, you got some singers? Yeah, y'all singers? He said, why don't you sing for me? I got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you, baby. Huh? Ain't that, huh? So that's what they did. So they driving in the car, they all soaking because they had to do that. But that's part of, the glitz and the glamour, the good and the bad that comes with it. And so I'm just saying that, here it was. She made a statement saying people of color are struggle too much in 2020, right? For promoters to not sit there and be sensitive to race. You in our industry, you in our business. That's what we do. Until people with black money build black industries and institutions that provide directly for black people, and I don't know about all this modeling stuff, but until then, you have to do the crossover in order to get employed, if that's going to be the field you want to be in, because again, they originate that, and so we ain't going to say they're going to be the originators of it, but we're going to say as of now that, again, the usurpation across the world. And so the game you want to play is the game you got to play with them. I think Kanye West thought the same thing, that when he went to make them shoes and stuff, and he come to find out, I'm going to do the nigga, right? So anyway, they decide that she needed to just go, walk the runway. She did it anyway. But the only thing is, she didn't stand her ground. So she went out there even though she didn't wear on the ears and the lips. And they said the lips was from a sex toys. Right? Right. So this whole had been happening at New York Pier 59 Studios. If any of y'all from New York know what this is. And the event was about a 75th anniversary of FIT, F-I-T. They've been around since 1944. Looked like the alumni was coming there. And they had this, supposedly this school that has about 7,046 students, which is tax funded by New York, it looks like, right? And look like the directors there, Jonathan Kyle Farmer and Richard Thorne. And the one person that seems the one who came up with this design for her to wear, his name was Jung Ki Hong, right? Jung Ki Hong, right? He was the one that, according to the article, said that he was from China. And he didn't understand the racist overtone. Now, wait a minute. He wants you to believe he is from China and he has no idea about racial overtones. So just in case Mr. Jung Ki Hong happens to see this video, well, explain this one for us, Mr. Jung Ki. Check this out. I want y'all to see this, and then I'm going to tell you what it is. Ready? I'm gonna hit the replay a couple times to make sure that you get it. Y'all ready for this? Check this out. That's not what you did the wrong one, sir. There you go. There you go.
我是黑鬼，我是黑鬼，自杀鸡，自杀鸡，耶耶。我是黑鬼，我是黑鬼，自杀鸡，自杀鸡，耶耶。我是黑鬼，我是黑鬼，自杀鸡，自杀鸡，耶耶。我是黑鬼，我是黑鬼，自杀鸡，自杀鸡，耶耶。
All right, so you just seen something that you probably didn't know or didn't know what was being said, right? Well, this video had just came out the other day, and it was showing the fact that, let me go ahead and show you the picture of it again. Hold on, can we get that right? What's going on, huh? All right, no, we're not there. Go there. There you go. All right, show them the picture there. There you go. So, what you see on your screen there is some young African kids from the continent who seem to be taught by, it's a Chinese person, right? I don't know if this is some kind of schooling or so forth. And what you heard there was the teacher teaching them to recite some words that you didn't understand because they were in Chinese. But the words that the Chinese dude had the kids sitting there regurgitating and singing and making them dance, he made them say, now again, you got to remember, kids are impressionable, don't know, and trusting, especially in the environment of school, you're taught by your parents, you better go in there and drink all that damn Kool-Aid and make sure you drink every bit of it. So you're trusting because you don't believe your parents will take you to a place that will bring harm to you, and you had confided in your teacher. Now here's a teacher and here's the student, and here's something that unbeknownst, not understanding the trick that this individual is playing on the children. The children are saying, we are niggas. We are monsters and we are niggas. And we have low IQ. I'm going to say that again. The person who you do not see that you heard in the video is saying and making these children, unbeknownst to them, not understanding that they are being manipulated, that he's having them say we are niggas, monsters, and we have low IQ, and then they do the little music and they dance it at the end, right? Right? That's what that was, right? But Mr. Jung-Ki Hung, the designer, right, said that he had no understanding and he could not understand the racial undertones that he's from China. They're like, well, in China, we don't do that. We done seen a lot of stuff. We haven't seen that commercial that they got in where they got a black man with a Chinese woman and he trying to kiss her, and then she somehow get his head and stuff his ass inside of a washing machine, and when he come out like a light, bright Chinese dude. And one day in the saying, I guess there's no racial overtones. But again, they on the continent. And again, we over here in Black Minds New have talked about that exchange of them billions of dollars. Talking about, we're your friends and we're going to help you build, and thinking that somehow that ain't a down payment. Ladies, I done already made that analogy, right? Throw down this track, you do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? They say, no, ain't no kickbacks, baby. This is what it is, right? So, okay. But the woman, her game type gonna recognize, hey, he trying to put some layaway on here. So now they all done infiltrated in there. There's a lot of stories that you see now that's going over there on the continent, and you know, we want the best for the continent. It ain't like we don't have no ties to it, but you know, it's sad. So anyway. So, according to what one of the witnesses said, is that these lips and ears were to somehow outline the ugly features of the body. So somehow, this Chinese designer decided that lips and ears are being distinguished parts of ugly features of bodies. Now, does everybody hate their ears and their lips? Is that a common thing everybody know? Because, you know, we know they always, again, like they talk about in this article, talk about Gucci made the sweater with it cover up in the lips, big red lips, and, you know, right? We always see these things, and then everybody want to come back later and do the PR work and talk about, we never even mean it that way. It was just, you know, it just came out that way, right? So we see that, according to the article, it also talks about that two other models, they were furious about it, right? And matter of fact, she went to Q, I think it was Q, was the name of the company model outfit that she works for, and the reps end up saying, according to the article, that there was a conflict about the reports. So here it is that you, as a model and the agency you work for, right, you go to report about it, and they saying, well, we don't kind of believe you because there's some conflicting reports. Now, who's conflicting? Them saying what they saying and you saying what you saying. So again, you being black and they being who they is, and we a model agency and we kind of need them. So, you know, if you don't want to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, then I guess you're going to be expendable. Right? Think about it. You're going to be expendable. We're going to move on with business and life going to go on. That's going to be your loss, right? And that, so we end up seeing is that they saying her reports were unreliable. That she says that the reason why they didn't want to say anything because they didn't want to have their name involved in it, right? She said also talked about that Richard Thorne, which is one of the one of the directors of this event, he was strong arming her, right? And I said, okay, well, he got physical with you. So right then you could have just went to the police if you wanted, but you're going to destroy your whole career. So I guess you might as well just go ahead and hang it up and do something else anyway. Or find a black agency with black something, right? And so one person who decided maybe it was one of her girls, according to the article, a person that say wanted to be anonymity. Now again, that's slick. They told you, okay, well, we won't put your name in there. But then she goes on and says she spoke up for Miss LaFair, right? She spoke up for her, and she went and before the individual, I guess that was Richard Thorne, and she was saying she can't wear this. This is wrong, right? And then said that he screamed at her and said, you need to back down and get away, right? So maybe this was designed, again, to try to get rid of you. You know, sometimes, again, you could be working at places, and then sometimes you the quota. You kind of know that. And what ended up happening is, you know, maybe you done ruffle somebody the wrong way. Maybe you making too much money. You're looking, you know, you make less money, but you look better. You dress better. You smell better. And, you know, some people are just jealous. They just need anything to get rid of you. And so maybe they figured if we do this to you, you would do and react. You would react. And, you know, they got what they wanted out the situation, right? Right? And so to make it seem like there was conflict between what you said and they said, the other people who didn't complain, what they say in show business, the show must go on, right? And guess what? They went on without you. And those who you probably thought was down with you and cool with you, no. We understand. This is business. Being black, you're going to have to suck it up and get tough. That's how they look at it. And again, currently she's the only one that was black there, right? So, you know, that's just what it is. You know, that's what it is. You go, again, this is the experience that they want to talk about as immigrants, our relatives of African on the continent and Caribbean and other things. We agree with everybody because, again, the foundation, the core of the country is what it is. So as long as you got melanin, all can get it. There ain't no doubt about that. So that's just what that is. You know, that's the way it is. And because of the scenario, you got to understand when you out here, when you're going to pick these kind of, let's say, professions, you got to vet them out, man. You got to look at all the ins and outs and understand, are you a dime a dozen? Are you very expendable? Is the longevity, are they going to have you compromising doing a lot of things? You know, a lot of people want to believe that they don't want to be on a casting couch and all that other good stuff, but that's just the name of the game, you know. I think you compromise yourself earlier in the situation with them, and they push it and they hide behind the word provocative. And that is just what it is, right? So that's how it is. And we don't take light and think that it's better, but we understand that's how it goes, right? That's just how it goes, right? So I'm going to go to this next one here, this next story I got here. And this next story here, you got to see this one because it's like, it's crazy, but I want to attach some things to this. I want some other stuff that I believe is connected. And it's going to connect to somebody else. And I'll talk about that when I get to that. So let me go ahead. We ready to cue that up? All right, go ahead and cue that up. And let's go ahead and move on to the next. Check this out. I'll be right back, y'all.
For men in Alabama, time to schedule your vasectomy?
That's if a bill introduced in the state legislature becomes law. WVTM 13's Mary O'Connell heard from the lawmaker behind this bill and others who say it goes too far.
Laid out in a simple 3-page document is legislation that could mandate a medical procedure for men. State Representative ROLANDA Hollis's bill would require a man to get a vasectomy within 1 month of his 50th birthday or the birth of his 3rd child, whichever comes first, and at his own expense. Hollis notes while many see the bill as an overstep, she says year after year, legislation is introduced that tries to dictate a woman's body and her reproductive rights.
25 ayes, 6 nays, 1 abstention. House Bill 314 passes.
Last session, the state legislature passed one of the strictest abortion bills in the country, a near total outlaw of abortions. Hollis said the vasectomy bill is meant to neutralize last year's ban.
Most people I talk to just kind of laughs and shrugs it off.
State Senator Cam Ward said the bill won't likely get a vote in committee. When asked about regulations on men's reproductive rights, he told us,
I don't have a live human being inside my body, so in the issue of abortion, you're dealing with a third party, which is the baby or fetus. So I get her political statement. I just think it's kind of a goofy, far out there left field type proposal.
In a statement, Hollis said in part, just as she'd turn to a doctor over a legislator when deciding to have surgery, she should consult a doctor when it comes to making the incredibly difficult decisions related to my personal reproductive rights. In Birmingham, Mary O'Connell, WVTM 13.
Mandatory vasectomies at age 50. Alabama lawmakers propose his response to abortion ban. Now, that's what you see on your screen. The actual story that I'm going to read, I may even put it on the screen because I had to do it after the fact. It says, to counter abortion ban, Alabama bill would require vasectomies when men hit 50 or have 3 kids. You know I'm going to say that again. To counter abortion ban, Alabama bill would require vasectomies when men hit 50 or have 3 kids. This story's come out of Fox 5, KVVU TV, local Las Vegas. Story was done February the 19th, 2020, and this is how it reads. An Alabama Democratic lawmaker has a unique response to a recent law limiting abortion rights in the state. Require men to undergo vasectomies either when they hit 50 or have 3 children. Such would be the case under a new bill from Rep. ROLANDA HOLLIS that was introduced on Thursday. Under existing law, there are no restrictions on the reproductive rights of men. This measure would require a man to undergo a vasectomy within 1 month of his 50th birthday or the birth of his 3rd biological child, whichever comes first, the bill says. The bill faces long odds in the Republican-controlled legislature, but Hollis told AL.com it's a statement in response to a near-total abortion ban passed in the state last year that has been blocked by federal judge, Republican-led states, emboldened by the conservatives, majority Supreme Court, and efforts by the Trump administration to roll back abortion protections have pushed limitations to abortions in the last year. The vasectomy bill is to help with the reproductive system, and yes, it is to neutralize the abortion ban bill. It always takes 2 to tango, Hollis told the outlet. We can't put all the responsibility on women. Men need to be responsible also. Under the bill, men who reach the age threshold will have to undergo the vasectomy at their own expenses. Hollis' bill will now head to the Judiciary Committee for consideration, which is made up of 14 men and 1 woman, per the state legislative website. Committee Chairman Rep. Jim Hill, a Republican, told CNN that he is unsure of the bill's future, but that it is the first of this kind that he's seen. I've never seen a bill that attempts to sterilize a person, male or female, he told CNN. Randall Marshall, executive director of American Civil Liberty Union of Alabama, told CNN that although he is doubtful the bill will go anywhere, he applauds efforts that highlight the need to let women have control over their reproductive rights. Look, on one hand, everybody knows that this bill isn't going anywhere, but it really does underscore the hypocrisy of Alabama's legislators in making medical decisions for women that it would never dream of making for men, Marshall said. All right, so we are back, right? So, looks like in the state of Alabama, it looks like somebody has decided, it looks like the Democrats of Alabama, seem like they're responding to the recent limiting of the abortion right in the state that they lost. They tried to pass that bill, and it seemed like that bill got shut down. And in consolation prize, because they lost, they're going to require men to undergo vasectomies when they reach 50 years old, or 3 children, their third biological child. Don't have to be 3 children, your third biological. Only can prove that you had 3. Think about that. Man. Kind of sound like that. What was her name? Making up that program. Looks like it's coming back. And again, remember, I've been over here telling you about, extinction, dead donor uteruses, and dead donor sperm. Doing everything to stifle, right? Stifle you out. So we see that somebody, and you need to see who this person is. Somebody decided to come with a grandiose idea. And that idea was to come up with to say, hey, you guys want to control our vaginas? Well, I got one for you. Well, her name is ROLANDA HOLLIS. Let me show you a picture of her right there, right? ROLANDA HOLLIS, right? She's the one who introduced this new bill, right? And under this, right? Because accordingly, under the existing law, there's no restriction for reproductive rights of men. But this law that she is introducing would require that 1 month before you 50, which is mean basically when you get 40, if you don't have your third child, by the time you 49 years and 11 months, 23 minutes and 59 seconds, go see the doctor. Huh? You got to go see the doctor. Now, but I'm just going to say, in that picture that you're seeing there, I think she had went to jail because she got into a domestic confrontation with her significant other, and end up going to jail, right? So, it's kind of hard when you think when a woman, when it becomes domestic, that the man don't go to jail. I could say some things, but I don't want to say it, but I'm just going to say it like this, right? So that means that they under their observation, when the police got there, they feel like you was the aggressor, right? Like you took everything into your hands, and then you was doing the old foom fops, and he just took it, right? So my thing is this, right? And I want to show something here, man. I really, man, damn. I mean, I got to do it because it's the news, but there's a connecting to this. And, man, you know, I originally, when it first broke, I actually have a video that I already done, man. I just haven't put it out because I want to be very respectful of the family and what they're going through, and there's been so much turmoil from it, but I done put it on hold, but it's already done. But this part I didn't put into it, or actually I am putting it into it, but I want to show you something that's connecting to with this whole thing that you see, this ROLANDA HOLLIS on your screen. I want to tie in that just like you had the Gayle King situation, that backlash, and then we see that Susan Rice came out, right, in defense of that, and then we seen Oprah come out and cry, right? So the question becomes, is there a movement to eunuch the man? I'm gonna say that again. Is there a movement to eunuch? You know what a eunuch is? A eunuch is when they castrate the man, balls and all, that he has no reproductive organs whatsoever, right? When you say eunuch, you're really saying turn into a sissy, right? Emasculate him, right? The whole nine. So, again, I do this as information. What I present here is just a presentation, right? But I want you to see something in here. Now, again, we're coming back to what we're talking about, but I'm going to tie it in, right? I have to tie it in. So I want you to check this out. Have your ears open, eyes open, and be thinking. And when you see it, maybe you might get it. You might just get it. Now, again, anybody who might see this, it's not about disrespect at all. It's a question to be asked that we're probably never going to get. But some people didn't put this in the equation that I've seen out here. So, y'all ready for this? Here it goes, and I got to go ahead and do it, huh? All right, so here we go. Check this out. I'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Reese. In 1964, I was a little girl sitting on the linoleum floor of my mother's house in Milwaukee, watching Anne Bancroft present the Oscar for Best Actor at the 36th Academy Awards. She opened the envelope and said 5 words that literally made history. The winner is Sidney Poitier. Up to the stage came the most elegant man I had ever seen. I remember his tie was white, and of course his skin was black, and I'd never seen a black man being celebrated like that. And I have tried many, many, many times to explain what a moment like that means to a little girl, a kid watching from the cheap seats as my mom came through the door, bone-tired from cleaning other people's houses. But all I can do is quote and say that the explanation in Sydney's performance in Lilies of the Field, amen, 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 amen. In 1982, Sydney received the Cecil B. DeMille Award right here at the Golden Globes, and it is not lost on me that at this moment, there are some little girls watching as I become the first black woman to be given the same award. It is an honor. It is an honor, and it is a privilege to share the evening with all of them, and also with the incredible men and women who've inspired me, who've challenged me, who've sustained me, and made my journey to this stage possible. Dennis Swanson, who took a chance on me for AM Chicago. Quincy Jones, who saw me on that show and said to Steven Spielberg, yes, she is Sophia in The Color Purple. Gail, who's been the definition of what a friend is, and Stedman, who's been my rock, just a few to name. I'd like to thank the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, because we all know that the press is under siege these days. But we also know that it is the insatiable dedication to uncovering the absolute truth that keeps us from turning a blind eye to corruption and to injustice, to tyrants and victims and secrets and lies. I want to say that I value the press more than ever before as we try to navigate these complicated times, which brings me to this. What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room are celebrated because of the stories that we tell. And this year, we became the story. But it's not just a story affecting the entertainment industry. It's one that transcends any culture, geography, race, religion, politics, or workplace. So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault because they, like my mother, had children to feed and bills to pay and dreams to pursue. They're the women whose names we'll never know. They are domestic workers and farm workers. They are working in factories, and they work in restaurants, and they're in academia and engineering and medicine and science. They're part of the world of tech and politics and business. There are athletes in the Olympics, and there are soldiers in the military. And there's someone else, Recy Taylor. A name I know, and I think you should know too. In 1944, Recy Taylor was a young wife and a mother. She was just walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men, raped and left blindfolded by the side of the road, coming home from church. They threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone. But her story was reported to the NAACP, where a young worker by the name of Rosa Parks became the lead investigator on her case. And together, they sought justice. But justice wasn't an option in the era of Jim Crow. The men who tried to destroy her were never persecuted. Recy Taylor died 10 days ago, just shy of her 98th birthday. She lived, as we all have lived, too many years in a culture broken by brutally powerful men. And for too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men. But their time is up. Their time is up. Their time is up. And I just hope that Reese Taylor died knowing that her truth, like the truth of so many other women who were tormented in those years, and even now tormented, goes marching on. It was somewhere in Rosa Parks' heart almost 11 years later when she made the decision to stay seated on that bus in Montgomery. And it's here with every woman who chooses to say, "Me too." And every man who chooses to listen. In my career, what I've always tried my best to do, whether on television or through film, is to say something about how men and women really behave, to say how we experience shame, how we love and how we rage, how we fail, how we retreat, persevere, and how we overcome. And I've interviewed and portrayed people who've withstood some of the ugliest things life can throw at you. But the one quality all of them seem to share is an ability to maintain hope for a brighter morning, even during our darkest nights. So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again. Thank you.
Now again, this here would be, they did Time's Up. Here, remember they was wearing that? Time's Up, right? And that was at the Golden Awards in the Baffa, right? Right? And then there was the Oscars. The red carpet was coming up, right? Now, that was in 2018. That wasn't the Oscars, okay? The Oscars rolled around in a little later, right? Well, it was 2018. It was still 2018. And so what I want y'all to see, based on what she just said, and then the Oscars came. Now, for those who may not remember what the Oscars, and that particular Oscar, that 90th Oscar, what was that about? Remember, they coming off of what she just said about Time's Up. This was the head talking. Now watch this. All right, check this out.
The Shape of Water. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway were once again on hand to announce the top honor at the Oscars. There was no repeat of last year's blunder when an envelope mix-up resulted in the wrong winner initially being announced.
Growing up in Mexico, I thought this could never happen. It happens.
The biggest names in Hollywood gathered Sunday at the Dolby Theater for the Academy Awards. It was the 90th time the Oscars had been handed out, but the first since the Me Too movement began to roil. But the first since the Me Too movement began to roil the But the first since the Me Too movement began to roil the movie business. Host Jimmy Kimmel opened the night by acknowledging the industry's sexual harassment scandal. Host Jimmy Kimmel opened the night by acknowledging the industry's sexual harassment scandal.
What's happening all over was long overdue. If we can work together to stop sexual harassment in the workplace, if we can do that, women will only have to deal with harassment all the time at every other place they go.
Frances McDormand, who won Best Actress for her role in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, asked that all the women nominees in the room be acknowledged.
If I may be so honored to have all the female nominees in every category stand with me in this room tonight.
Gary Oldman won Best Actor for his portrayal of Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour.
I would like to thank my mother, who is older than the Oscar. She is 99 years young. Next birthday. Put the kettle on. I'm bringing Oscar home.
Another highlight of the evening, former NBA superstar Kobe Bryant winning the Oscar for Best Animated Short for Highlight of the evening, former NBA superstar Kobe Bryant winning the Oscar for Best Animated Short for Highlight of the evening, former NBA superstar Kobe Bryant winning the Oscar for Best Animated Short for Highlight of the evening, former NBA superstar Kobe Bryant winning the Oscar for Best Animated Short for Dear Basketball.
Basketball players, we're really supposed to shut up and dribble, but I'm glad we can do a little bit more than that.
The film was based on a letter Bryant wrote to announce his retirement. He's the first pro athlete to win an Academy Award. Chris Martinez, CBS News.
Somebody person front. There we go.
Can you guys come by yourselves?
That's what she said. Thank you, Adam. You right. You see that purse again? Right there, stay right there. There you go. That's in Kobe. Just straight ahead. Yeah, you guys. Kobe, right over here. Kobe, left. There you go. There we go. Kobe, one more time. No thumbs up. Kobe to your left. Kobe. To your left. To your left. Up high, buddy.
All right, so we are back. Now, again, we're continuing on what I was talking about originally, talking about the vasectomy, 50 and 3 children. Now, some people, again, I don't want anybody to be offended, because when it comes to this story, as what I just laid out here, a lot of us are still dealing with the hurt. There's families mourning, people are mourning, fans are mourning. But there was a lot that happened within that little short period of time. I myself respect the fact of what took place and didn't want to come out and do anything. I really didn't want to do this part. But I had to do it because it's fitting for what we're talking about here. So, as I showed you, the ROLANDA HOLLIS, who introduced a bill that was to basically euthanize, well, I can't say euthanize, right? No, I can't say that. We're going to say, again, as they use vasectomies, which is really like being a eunuch, right? Now, they understand that based on the Republicans holding the position of power of legislators there, and they don't believe that this bill could get passed. According to that committee, I think there's about, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the Judicial Committee got like 14 men and 1 woman. So that would be like them signing their own vasectomy if they don't already got one, right? So that probably wouldn't happen. But I think, like I said, this was in consolation to the fact that the ban on the abortion got stopped. And so they want to wait through the whole procedure before, and they want to make this as a, like I say, consolation to it. And so what happened is, I'm trying to tell you here, which is, it was blocked by the federal judge. The judge's name was Myron Thompson. He put in a preliminary injunction based on the fact that he believes that it's barring on the Human Life Protection Act. They're going to wait until the court resolves the case in full. This block has a, is because so many other states had a restricting in the early stage of abortions, it's put a block on every state in the country. They believe it violates the rights of an individual to privacy, and diminishes the capacity of women to act in society and to make reproductive decisions, right? Supposedly it defies the United States Constitution. And so the vasectomy bill is to help with the reproductive system and neutralize the abortion ban bill. And so we have to say that, as you heard Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah has been hot in the trend. You remember when I was off, I didn't get a chance to talk about much that had happened. So this is my little way about talking about a little bit of it. So we all know what happened on January 26th. Day a lot of people can remember where they were when they heard what they heard. A lot of people felt certain ways. There's certain people, there's two sides. There's certain people who were saying certain things that people were like, why are they talking about that, right? And based on, if you know what took place as into another case that was dealing with, it's ironic that the reason why I showed you what I did is because the person who you seen, Oprah Winfrey, on 2018, when she got accepted that award, she made a speech, and you heard the speech. In that speech, she ended up saying things. She talked about a particular woman who was raped by white men, left on the side of the road, died supposedly 10 days prior to the event. And that her being the first black woman to win this award, just like when she was a little girl, not in Mississippi, but somewhere in Milwaukee. I thought that was a little strange, but anyway. In Milwaukee, watching the awards and seeing Harry Belafonte wins the award. Not Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier. And she says, just like she's winning tonight, there's a lot of little girls, not just the ones that were home, but it was all the little girls that was there, and she becoming the idol till later. Now, a lot of people are starting to blur that, right? But a lot of people, a lot of women were looking up to Oprah as the idol, the image, the personage that they wanted to emulate. And then her sidekick, her Robin, and her lately have been doing interviews and documentaries based on the conversation, or based on her speech she said about finding the truth and about getting these men who are power. But can we say that during this episode of her and her Robin, who did they seem to be getting? Who were they going after? Who was they dragging? Now, again, we're not sitting here whether people were guilty or not, but if the scales of justice is supposed to have balance, then this shouldn't be, if this is just a fruit bowl, it shouldn't be all apples. You said this is a mixed fruit bowl. We should see some oranges, bananas, grapes, all kinds of different fruits. But we're only seeing one fruit in this basket. And a lot of it was questionable because, again, in the cases of individuals who they had talked about, they had already went through proceedings, but then people were saying things after the fact. And people would rub this in the wrong way. People didn't say a lot about it at the time. Then we seen the situation with Gail and who she had, and based on after that interview, she got a raise of $11 million and so forth, and it seemed like they were on the hunt. We heard other names being mentioned to go off and do documentaries. We seen Bill Cosby go, right? So this whole, after this, it just was a move, right? Everything was on the move. And so January 26th happened, and an interview happens. When the interview happens, people who seen the interview were disturbed about a way a question was posed and how it seemed that the person was being antagonized to be prompt, or trying to be prompt to have a certain response. The wound was fresh, a lot of people were hurt, and so a backlash ensued. People who were close decided to, talk about it, say what they felt was in their heart. Everything was well, maybe the ending part didn't come across well or should not have been stated, and it reverberated through the ethers of the internet. Next thing you know, the person tries to backtrack, said that, well, my job edited, cut it, made it appear the way, but it's not about how to edit if that's what someone wanted to hide. It was what was being said. And so the people spoke. And they spoke loudly to the fact there was nowhere to run. So we see that people from the government, female, jumps out, say some things, say, hey, we got an army. Did anybody recognize what army they were talking about? Or what army she was talking about? Maybe it was the army of the cat call because the president came on TV and cried and said, she's not doing well. Remember that? She's not doing well. And so the cat call went out. That what you just seen in that speech was the inauguration, right? Time's up. And what pursued after that, right? What I wanted to show with the part that you've seen of the night of the Oscars, it showed that particular Oscar on that night, that 90th, was the movement night. Think about this. That was the movement night. That was the night that was so much was about that particular night. They was in black. They was in, they was out to make this point. And there was one particular person there. Now again, we will believe what we know, right? And so, isn't it ironic that that individual won an Oscar that night, but is not considered to be in the Academy? I'm going to say that again. This individual who won that night is not considered to be in the Academy. So, what was that whole ceremony for? Is one got to ask themselves. Why did you have an individual come there to win an award, and then later he's denied to be in the Academy? That they came up with some way that prohibits and say it wasn't about that. But yet, you had Weinstein rejected now. You had, what's that other one name that went to another country? Can't think of his name. And Bill Cosby. Roman Polanski. Right? But this one here, right? You put a formality in front of everybody to show him he was there getting an award, right? You know how people be saying there's some rituals going on, there's some things that be happening? What do you think about that? I'm just proposing something, right? Based on the history and what had supposedly took place back in 2000, what was it, 2000 and maybe 3, right? Maybe it was like 2000, okay, right? You have to ask yourself this question. What was that about? What was the formality about? If you go look up, you'll see what I'm talking about. He got the picture, he got him with the Oscar, but he's not in there. And they said, well, because you got to be at least, true. You got, really? But that night was about that movement. So when you see the interview in this, and you don't see people are demanding for they want you to apologize, but you're not going to get an apology. Because there was people on the other side who were saying things. They were saying things that people you just ignored what they were saying. So if those people were believing that, and here was the president crying once again, she made the speech, the movement was moved, and seeing that the one person who shouldn't have been there that night, based on here you is doing this interview, and that was CBS that you was watching that did this. So if they wanted to have that conversation, they could have had that conversation. But maybe it wasn't meant for the conversation to take place to afterwards. I'm just saying, right? So ponder over that for a minute, right? they say with this vasectomy that the man is at his expense. When you come 49 years and 11 months, it's up to you to pay for your own vasectomy, right? So the campaign into eunuch look like black man. We heard what Oprah said in that speech, but we seen who you was going after too. And eunuch means to castrato or or it was like castrato, right? Yeah, that's how you say castrato. A gelding, sissy, panty waist, mama's boy, fairy, fag. There's all this toxic masculinity. So, funny. It's not funny. It's just, again, I've done the video and I may put it out, but I'm going to still wait. But I just thought that was a little ironic that a person who now, after his demise and the tragic of all those people who lost their lives, and to have daughter with him, and to talk about that seems to be in general. Again, here was Robin, who's close to Batman, who Batman is the president, and he is the sidekick, and they both in tandem. And everybody who they going after, according to what her speech was, truth, and everyone and all can get it. Time's up. But the people they kicking it with is dirtier, not dirtier than the people you were going after. But you gave this speech, and I've never seen a black man being honored. And so, movement is out to you. Cut. But, you know, if you cut us, the white man got to cut himself too, right? So we know that not going to happen. We know they're not going to do that. But just the fact that they're putting it up there. You see, again, somebody say, well, we're going after powerful men. But let's put it to you like this. History has told, when our encounter in this country, we were together. Black men had no more power than you did. Matter of fact, you might have had more power than the black man, due to the simple fact that you're a woman. And again, as I done said before, he had omnipotent power with you. He could do whatever. So his pleasure and whatever he was doing, not that we, you know, that I'm saying it like it was, you know, better, but they become, you know, through that kind of ordeal, he catching feelings, right? And you can use it to your power, to your whim. Well, in this case, on the other side, I'm competition to him. I'm the thing he doesn't want to have power, nor to seek it. But then that who you go after don't seem to be, as you say, all of them. So that's the vasectomy, y'all. That's what that vasectomy thing is, right? All right, man. Yeah, that one there, right? Wow, right? That's really wow. Oh, should I even stop from there? Yeah, that's enough for now, right? All right, so let me see it go to this here. Check this out. All right, y'all. So, I want to thank each and every one of you for clicking on the video. You know what you can do? You can like, dislike, share, comment. When you see your brother and sister, when you see your brother, what's good, brother? See your sister, what's good, sister? If you can't do that much, give a universal nod. You know how we do it. Understand that we are living in a day and time that there's people who are looking for our demise. So is it incumbent that we and each and every one of us look for one another, be my brother and my sister's keeper? Realize that we in this fight and all we got is each other. You can have allies in this game, but there's certain questions you're going to have to ask your allies. One, ask your allies, have they ever heard of John Brown? Ask them why they never heard of a movie called John Brown. Is John Brown the worst white man that ever was in the United States? A white man who decided to sacrifice his family for the betterment or for the mistreatment of black people? Or is that just something that white people told us and this story is not true? Two, ask them if it's not true, then what's the purpose of it? So again, I'm your host, Mr. Blow Your Mind. I want to say peace, love, and to the next show, to the next show.